Mafia Definitive Edition. Let's talk about Mafia Definitive Edition, the 2020 remake of the classic 2002 game. This remake isn't just a visual upgrade, it's a complete reimagining that brings the story and characters to life in stunning detail. If you're a fan of gripping narratives and period pieces, this game is a must-play. You play as Tommy Angelo, a taxi driver who gets swept into the world of organized crime in the 1930s. The story follows Tommy's rise through the ranks of the Salieri crime family, and it's a tale filled with drama, betrayal, and intense moments. What I love about Mafia Definitive Edition is how it captures the essence of the original game while adding new layers of depth and nuance to the story and characters. The visuals in this remake are absolutely stunning. Lost Heaven, the fictional city based on Chicago, is beautifully recreated with meticulous attention to detail. The period-specific architecture, vintage cars, and atmospheric lighting make the city feel alive and authentic. Driving through the rain-soaked streets at night or watching the sun set over the city skyline are moments that really showcase the game's graphical prowess. The performances are top-notch, adding emotional weight to the story. You really get a sense of the characters' personalities and motivations, which makes the narrative even more engaging. Gameplay-wise, Mafia Definitive Edition strikes a good balance between action and storytelling. The combat is satisfying, with a mix of gunfights and melee combat that feels intense and impactful. The driving mechanics have also been improved, making the vintage cars a joy to drive. The game's missions are varied and well-designed, keeping you engaged throughout the story. One of the standout features for me is the game's commitment to its 1930s setting. The period-specific details from the radio broadcasts and music to the fashion and dialogue immerse you in the era. It's clear that a lot of care and attention went into making the world of Mafia Definitive Edition feel authentic and lived in. However, the game does have its limitations. The open world of Lost Heaven, while beautifully crafted, isn't as interactive as you might expect from a modern open world game. There's not a lot to do outside of the main story missions, which can make the city feel a bit empty at times. But for me, this isn't a deal breaker, as the focus is clearly on delivering a compelling narrative experience. In conclusion, Mafia Definitive Edition is a fantastic remake that revitalizes a classic story with stunning visuals and modern gameplay mechanics. If you're a fan of story-driven games and appreciate a well-crafted period piece, this game is definitely worth your time. It's an immersive cinematic experience that will keep you hooked from start to finish. Tommy Angelo's journey through the criminal underworld of Lost Heaven is one you won't want to miss. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Alright, if we're talking about the best story games, we absolutely have to mention The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. This game is an absolute powerhouse when it comes to storytelling, and it's one that I could talk about for hours. You play as Geralt of Rivia, a grizzled monster hunter navigating a war-torn world in search of his adopted daughter, Ciri. The story is incredibly rich and layered, filled with complex characters, political intrigue, and moral ambiguity. What really stands out to me is how well the game handles its main storyline alongside the countless side quests. Each quest feels meaningful and adds depth to the world and its inhabitants. The writing in The Witcher 3 is some of the best you'll find in any game. The dialogue is sharp and natural, and the choices you make have real weight, affecting the story and the world around you. I love how the game doesn't shy away from tough, morally gray decisions. There are rarely any clear-cut good or bad choices, which makes every decision feel significant and impactful. The characters are another highlight. Geralt, with his dry wit and gruff exterior, is a compelling protagonist. But it's not just Geralt. The entire cast of characters, from the sorceress Yennefer to the lovable bard Dandelion, are well developed and memorable. Their personal stories and relationships with Geralt add so much to the overall narrative. Visually, the game is stunning. The world of The Witcher 3 is incredibly detailed and varied, from the bustling cities and war-torn villages to the dense forests and snowy mountains. The game's use of color and lighting is fantastic, creating an atmosphere that's both immersive and beautiful. Riding through a stormy night or watching the sunset over a lake are moments that really stick with you. The gameplay is equally impressive. Combat is fluid and satisfying with a mix of swordplay, magic, and alchemy. The monster hunts are particularly exciting, requiring you to research and prepare for each unique foe. The open world is packed with things to do, from exploring hidden treasures and crafting powerful gear to playing Gwent, the surprisingly addictive in-game card game. One of the most memorable aspects for me is how the game handles its lore. The world of The Witcher is steeped in rich history and mythology, and the game does an excellent job of weaving this lore into the story and the environment. It makes the world feel alive and believable. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is an epic adventure that raises the bar for storytelling in games. Its blend of deep, engaging narrative, complex characters, and a richly detailed world makes it a standout title. If you're looking for a game with a story that will keep you hooked from start to finish, this one is a must-play. Geralt's journey is one you won't soon forget. Disco Elysium. Alright, let's dive into the world of Disco Elysium, a game that has redefined what storytelling in video games can be. If you haven't played this gem yet, you're in for a treat. I have to say, Disco Elysium blew me away with its depth and creativity. You play as a down-and-out detective with a serious case of amnesia, trying to solve a murder mystery in the grungy, fictional city of Rivakul. What makes this game truly stand out is its dialogue and character interactions. The writing is sharp, witty, and often darkly humorous. Every conversation feels meaningful and can lead you down various narrative paths depending on your choices. The game doesn't just hand you the story, it lets you discover through exploration and dialogue, which makes it incredibly immersive. One of the coolest things about Disco Elysium is how it handles skills and abilities. Instead of just being stats that affect combat or simple tasks, your skills are like voices in your head, each with its own personality and opinion. This adds layers to your character and makes every decision feel significant. Your choices can lead to different outcomes, and the game has multiple endings based on how you play. It really feels like you're shaping the story with every decision you make. The art style is another highlight. It's this beautiful, painterly aesthetic that perfectly captures the bleak, melancholic atmosphere of the game. Combined with an evocative soundtrack, it creates an experience that's as much about the mood as it is about the narrative. But I won't lie, Disco Elysium isn't for everyone. It's very text-heavy, so if you're not into reading lots of dialogue, it might not be your cup of tea. However, if you love deep, narrative-driven games with rich, complex characters and a story that sticks with you long after you've finished, this game is a must-play. I can't recommend Disco Elysium enough if you're looking for a game that offers a truly unique storytelling experience. It's a masterpiece in narrative design and one of the best story games I've ever played. Red Dead Redemption 2.
In your lip? Sure. Got some kind of rock in your boot?
Alright, let's talk about Red Dead Redemption 2, a game that absolutely floored me with its storytelling and depth. If you're into immersive narratives and rich character development, this one's a must-play. In Red Dead Redemption 2, you step into the boots of Arthur Morgan, an outlaw in the dying days of the Wild West. The story is gripping from start to finish, weaving a tale of loyalty, betrayal, and redemption. What I love about this game is how it makes you care about Arthur and the members of the Van der Lindang. Each character feels real with their own backstories, personalities, and motivations. The world of Red Dead Redemption 2 is incredibly detailed and alive. From the bustling towns to the vast open wilderness, every corner of this game is meticulously crafted. The dynamic weather and day-night cycle add to the immersion, making you feel like you're truly living in this world. It's the kind of game where you can get lost just exploring and taking in the scenery. The writing and voice acting are top-notch. The dialogue feels natural and the characters are brought to life by outstanding performances. Arthur's journey is filled with emotional highs and lows, and the game doesn't shy away from tough, morally complex situations. It really makes you think about the choices you make and their consequences. Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of those rare games where everything just comes together perfectly. The story, characters, world building, and gameplay all combine to create an unforgettable experience. If you're looking for a game with a compelling narrative and a world that feels truly alive, Red Dead Redemption 2 is a game you can't miss. Trust me, it's an epic tale that will stay with you long after the credits roll.
Opening fire!
Cyberpunk 2077. Next on our list is Cyberpunk 2077. This game will draw you in with its massive open world and endless possibilities. In Cyberpunk, you play as V, a mercenary in the futuristic city of Night City. The city is huge and full of life, with neon lights, bustling streets, and a dark underworld. You can customize your character and make choices that affect the story and the world around you. The main story is gripping, filled with twists, action, and memorable characters. It keeps you hooked, making you want to see what happens next. But it's not just the main story that's addictive. Night City is packed with side missions, gigs, and activities. Each district has its own vibe and secrets to uncover. You'll find yourself spending hours exploring the city, finding new quests, and getting lost in the detailed world. The combat and gameplay are also a big part of what makes Cyberpunk 2077 so addictive. You can choose from a wide range of weapons and cybernetic enhancements to suit your playstyle. Whether you prefer stealth, hacking, or all-out combat, the game lets you play the way you want. The variety of options keeps the gameplay fresh and exciting. The world building in Cyberpunk is also top-notch. The city feels alive with dynamic weather, day-night cycles, and NPCs going about their daily lives. The attention to detail is incredible, making Night City a place you'll want to keep exploring. Cyberpunk also has a deep customization system. You can change your appearance, upgrade your skills, and modify your weapons and gear. This allows you to create a unique character that fits your playstyle and makes the game feel personal. If you love open world games with rich stories, deep customization, and endless exploration, Cyberpunk 2077 is a game you'll lose track of time playing. Dive into Night City and experience the future for yourself. It's a wild ride you won't want to end. Ghost of Tsushima. This game will captivate you with its stunning world and gripping samurai action. In Ghost of Tsushima, you play as Jin Sakai, a samurai on a mission to defend his homeland from a Mongol invasion. The island of Tsushima is breathtakingly beautiful with lush forests, serene temples, and rugged mountains. The world is so immersive that you'll find yourself wandering for hours just taking in the scenery. The game's combat system is one of its highlights. You can switch between different fighting stances to tackle various enemies, and every sword fight feels intense and rewarding. The game also offers stealth options, allowing you to approach situations in multiple ways. Whether you're engaging in a tense duel or silently taking down enemies, the combat is always exciting. Exploration in Ghost of Tsushima is incredibly rewarding. The island is filled with secrets to uncover, from hidden shrines and hot springs to challenging bamboo strikes and mythical tales. Each discovery enhances your abilities or adds to the rich lore of the game, making exploration feel meaningful. The story is compelling and emotional, focusing on Jin's struggle between his samurai traditions and the need to adopt new tactics to save his people. The characters you meet along the way are well developed, adding depth to the narrative and keeping you invested in Jin's journey. Visually, Ghost of Tsushima is a masterpiece. The dynamic weather and time of day changes make the island feel alive and constantly evolving. The game's art direction and attention to detail create a visually stunning experience that you'll want to keep exploring. The game also includes various side activities such as helping villagers, hunting down Mongol camps, and writing haikus. These activities add variety and depth to the gameplay, ensuring that there's always something new to do. If you love open world games with beautiful settings, deep combat systems, and rich stories, Ghost of Tsushima is a game you'll lose track of time playing. Hitman World of Assassination. Hitman World of Assassination is the perfect game for those who love stealth, strategy, and a bit of chaos. You step into the shoes of Agent 47, a professional assassin with a knack for creative problem solving. This game will have you hooked for hours as you plan and execute your missions with precision.
Anyone there?
The game offers a series of detailed, open-ended levels set in various exotic locations around the world. Each level is a sandbox where you can approach your targets in countless ways. Whether you choose to disguise yourself, set up elaborate traps, or go in guns blazing, the choice is yours.
What? Hey!
One of the most addictive aspects of Hitman is its replayability. Each mission can be completed in numerous ways, and the game rewards you for trying different strategies. You might spend hours mastering one level, learning every detail, and perfecting your approach. The sense of accomplishment when you pull off the perfect hit is incredibly satisfying. The levels are meticulously designed and full of opportunities. You'll find hidden passages, secret items, and unique disguises that allow you to get close to your targets undetected. The AI is smart and reacts to your actions, making every mission a dynamic puzzle to solve. The game's story is intriguing and ties all the missions together. While the main plot is compelling, the real fun comes from the individual stories within each mission. You'll encounter interesting characters and scenarios that add depth to the world and make each level feel like its own mini-drama. Hitman World of Assassination also features live content updates, including new targets, missions, and challenges. This keeps the game fresh and gives you new reasons to dive back in and test your skills. If you enjoy games that let you plan, strategize, and get creative with how you tackle challenges, Hitman World of Assassination is a game you'll lose track of time playing. The thrill of executing the perfect assassination, combined with the game's deep mechanics and replayability, makes it a must-play for stealth game enthusiasts. Get ready to become the ultimate assassin and explore a world of endless possibilities. Titanfall 2. Let's talk about Titanfall 2. This game is an absolute gem and often gets overlooked. You play as Jack Cooper, a rifleman who ends up piloting a big badass mech called BT-7274.
This will be useful in direct combat. First floor ready.
The bond between Jack and BT is one of the coolest parts of the game. The story is really engaging, it's a mix of action and heart, and you get to experience some fantastic moments. The campaign is filled with epic battles, clever puzzles, and some really innovative level design. There's one level where you mess with time travel and it's just mind-blowing.
Reminder, identification credentials must be displayed at all times.
The gameplay is super smooth. You've got these awesome parkour moves like wall running and double jumping, which make moving around so much fun. And then there's the mech combat, it's intense and satisfying. Switching between on foot action and piloting BT keeps things exciting. The game's graphics are top-notch. The environments are varied and beautifully designed, from lush forests to futuristic facilities. The sound design is also great, with the roar of your Titan and the blast of your weapons adding to the immersive experience. Titanfall 2 has one of the best single-player campaigns in a first-person shooter. It's packed with memorable moments and creative gameplay mechanics. If you're looking for an underrated game that combines fast-paced action with a great story, you need to check out Titanfall 2. It's a ride you won't forget.
Shield online. The Vortex Shield catches incoming rounds and missiles. Release the button to launch any captured objects back at the enemy.
Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. Alright, let's dive into Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. This game is a real hidden gem. You get to play as Star-Lord and lead the quirky and lovable Guardians of the Galaxy crew.
It feels like they're everywhere, laughing at us!
The story is fantastic and full of heart. It really captures the spirit of the Guardians with a mix of humor, action, and emotional moments. The banter between the characters is spot on, and their relationships feel genuine. You'll find yourself laughing one moment and getting misty-eyed the next. Playing the game is super fun. You control Star-Lord and can tell the other Guardians what to do during fights, which adds a cool strategy element. Each Guardian has their own special moves, so you can mix things up. The action is fast and keeps you on your toes. You also get to explore different planets, each one looking unique and interesting. There are puzzles to solve and secrets to find, which keeps things exciting. The game looks amazing, with vibrant colors and lots of detail. The soundtrack is packed with 80s hits that really add to the fun vibe. What I love most is how well the game captures the essence of the Guardians. The characters are well written and feel true to their comic book selves. The voice acting is top-notch, making each character come alive.
I cannot wait to meet our monster.
I thought you were mostly interested in meeting the buyer.
She is a respectable collector.
Is it working?
Yeah, don't worry, Sunshine.
Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy didn't get as much attention as it deserves. It's got a great story, fun gameplay, and fantastic characters. If you're a fan of the Guardians or just looking for a really enjoyable game, you should definitely give it a try. It's a wild, emotional ride that you won't want to miss.
Once the thumpers are placed, we'll meet in the middle and we'll capture the monster. Together.
Gears of War.
For a time, the humans of Serra knew the...
Alright, let's chat about Gears of War. This game is a classic and deserves way more attention than it sometimes gets. You play as Marcus Phoenix, a tough-as-nails soldier fighting against a brutal enemy known as the Locust Horde. The story kicks off with a bang. You're thrown right into the action, and it doesn't let up. It's set in a war-torn world where humanity is on the brink of extinction. Marcus and his squad, Delta Team, are humanity's last hope. The narrative is intense, full of epic battles and personal sacrifices. You really get to know and care about the characters as you play. The gameplay is where Gears of War really shines. It introduced the cover-based shooting mechanic that many games use today. You duck behind cover, pop out to take shots, and move strategically through the battlefield. The combat is visceral and satisfying with a mix of brutal melee attacks and powerful firearms. The chainsaw bayonet is iconic and incredibly fun to use. The game's pacing is excellent. It balances intense firefights with quieter moments where you can explore and soak in the atmosphere. The environments are varied, from destroyed cities to underground caverns, keeping things fresh and interesting. The graphics were top-notch for its time, with detailed character models in gritty, immersive settings.
You the Marcus Phoenix? The one who fought at Asfield Fields?
Yep.
Wow, cool!
Gears of War is a game that has left a lasting legacy. It's intense, engaging, and incredibly fun to play. If you're into action-packed shooters with a strong story and memorable characters, you've got to check it out. The Wolf Among Us.
A message?
Let's talk about The Wolf Among Us. This game is a real hidden gem. You play as Bigby Wolf, the sheriff of Fabletown, a place in New York City where fairy tale characters live in the real world. The story is amazing. It's like a detective movie where you have to solve a murder. As you play, you find out all sorts of secrets about the people in Fabletown. The story has lots of twists and keeps you interested the whole time.
Have more to offer. Get our ducks in a row. Oh, Crane doesn't like people smoking and...
The characters are what make this game special. You meet fairy tale characters, but they are different from what you remember. They have real life problems and interesting personalities. Bigby, the main character, is really cool because he has a dark past but is trying to do good.
What's it say about that?
It says Bricklebit in an older elvish hand.
The game is all about making choices. What you decide changes the story and how people react to you. Sometimes the choices are really hard and there's no easy answer. This makes you want to play again to see what happens if you make different choices. The way the game looks is really cool. It's like playing a comic book with bright colors and lots of details. The places you visit are full of atmosphere, whether it's a bar or an old apartment. The voices in the game are great. The actors make the characters feel real and interesting. The sounds and music also help make the game feel like a detective story.
You two need to get a handle on this situation quickly and quietly.
The Wolf Among Us is a game that more people should know about. It has a great story, cool characters, and a unique look. If you like games where the story and your choices matter, you should definitely play this one. It's an exciting and fun experience that you won't forget.
Where is the bottle of wine you were to purchase?
Hi-Fi Rush. Alright, let's talk about Hi-Fi Rush. This game is a hidden gem that's all about rhythm and fun. You play as Chai, a rock star in a colorful, music-filled world. The story is lighthearted and entertaining. Chai finds himself in a strange place where everything moves to the beat of the music. He decides to become a hero and takes on a big corporation that's up to no good. It's quirky and full of charm.
That's the defect? Looks suspicious. Could be.
Gameplay is where Hi-Fi Rush really shines. It's a rhythm-based action game where you fight enemies to the beat of the music. The better you time your moves, the more powerful your attacks. It's like playing a mix of a rhythm game and a fighting game, and it's super satisfying. The graphics are bright and colorful. The whole game looks like a vibrant animated music video. The characters are fun and full of personality, and the world is just a joy to look at. The music is a huge part of the game. The soundtrack is packed with catchy tunes that make you want to move. Each level has its own music, and it's all perfectly synced to the action. You'll find yourself bobbing your head and tapping your foot as you play.
I can see that.
Hi-Fi Rush is one of those games that just makes you happy. It's fun, energetic, and full of life. If you love music and action games, this one is a must-play. It's a unique and joyful experience that's sure to put a smile on your face. Dying Light. Alright, let's dive into Dying Light, a game that's perfect for those who love a mix of heart-pounding action, parkour, and survival horror. In Dying Light, you find yourself in the quarantine city of Heron, which is overrun by zombies. You play as Kyle Crane, an undercover operative sent to infiltrate the city. What really sets Dying Light apart is its parkour mechanics. The movement in this game is incredibly fluid and fun. You can climb buildings, leap across rooftops, and run along walls with ease. The city is your playground, and the ability to move so freely makes exploring a joy. It's not just about getting from point A to point B, it's about doing it in the coolest way possible. The combat in Dying Light is equally thrilling. You have a variety of weapons at your disposal, from melee weapons like bats and machetes to firearms. Crafting is a big part of the game, allowing you to modify weapons with electric shocks, flames, and more. Fighting zombies is brutal and satisfying, but you have to be smart about it, especially when the more dangerous infected come out at night. Speaking of night, Dying Light changes the game entirely when the sun goes down. The zombies become more aggressive and terrifying new enemies called volatiles come out to hunt you. The shift from day to night ramps up the tension and makes nighttime exploration a truly nerve-wracking experience. Surviving the night and making it to a safe zone feels like a real achievement. The game is packed with content. The main story missions are exciting, but there are also tons of side quests, challenges, and collectibles to keep you busy. The city of Heron is full of secrets, and exploring every corner can easily take up hours of your time. Dying Light also features a robust multiplayer mode. You can team up with friends to tackle missions, explore the city, and fight off the infected together. There's even a mode where you can play as a superpowered zombie hunting down other players, which adds a unique twist to the gameplay. Overall, Dying Light is a game that offers a rich, engaging experience that can easily soak up 100+ hours of your time. Its combination of parkour, intense combat, and survival horror elements makes it a standout title. If you're looking for a game that keeps you on the edge of your seat and constantly offers new challenges, Dying Light is a must-play.
Have fun, Jimmy. I'll think of you from our cruise ship.
Bully. Alright, let's talk about Bully, a game that truly stands out as a forgotten masterpiece. Released by Rockstar Games, this gem takes you on a wild ride through the chaotic life of a boarding school student, and it's an experience you don't want to miss. So, you play as Jimmy Hopkins, a rebellious teenager who's been dumped at Bulworth Academy, a rundown boarding school full of bullies, corrupt teachers, and quirky students. The game's setting is incredible. It's like the ultimate high school drama, but with all the craziness cranked up to 11, the school and the town around it are packed with details, making it feel like a living, breathing place. The gameplay is a blast. It's a mix of open-world exploration, mission-based storytelling, and good old-fashioned brawling. You go to classes or skip them, pull pranks, and get into all sorts of trouble. The classes are actually mini-games that are fun and give you bonuses like better fighting moves or more stamina, and the missions, they're varied and often hilarious, from defending nerds from bullies to pulling off epic pranks. One of the coolest things about Bully is how it captures the different social cliques at the school: jocks, nerds, preps, and greasers, and you have to navigate these groups, often pitting them against each other. It's got this clever social strategy element that keeps things interesting. The combat system is pretty straightforward, but satisfying. You'll be throwing punches, dodging attacks, and using a variety of makeshift weapons. It's not just about brute force, though sometimes using your head and playing smart is the way to go. And there's a whole bunch of side activities like go-kart racing, bike riding, and even carnival games that add to the fun. What really makes Bully special is its humor and heart. The writing is sharp, filled with Rockstar's trademark wit and satire. The characters are memorable and often exaggerated, but in a way that makes them endearing. Jimmy himself is a likable protagonist. Despite his tough guy exterior, he's got a soft spot and often ends up helping others in unexpected ways. Bully might not have the massive scale of Rockstar's other titles like GTA, but it's got its own unique charm and depth. It's a game that perfectly blends humor, action, and a bit of nostalgia for school days, even if those days are crazier than anything you've ever experienced. So if you've never played Bully or it's been a while, do yourself a favor and dive back in. It's a forgotten masterpiece that still holds up today, offering a wonderfully unique and entertaining gaming experience. You'll get lost in the halls of...
Exactly as I'd expected.
Max Payne. Alright, let's talk about Max Payne, a game that set the bar high for storytelling and action in video games, but often gets overlooked these days. This game is an absolute classic that deserves all the praise and more. So, Max Payne throws you into the shoes of, well, Max Payne, a gritty, hard-boiled NYPD detective turned vigilante. The story kicks off with a gut punch. Max's family is brutally murdered and he's out for revenge. What makes this game stand out is its incredible narrative. It's dark, intense, and packed with twists that keep you hooked from start to finish. It feels like you're playing through a noir crime novel complete with moody, rain-soaked streets and seedy underworld characters.
Trio.
Now, let's talk gameplay. Max Payne introduced the world of bullet time, you know, that super cool slow motion gunplay that lets you dodge bullets and take out enemies with style. It's like stepping into the Matrix but in a gritty noir setting. The gunfights are intense and incredibly satisfying. Diving through the air in slow motion while unloading a barrage of bullets never gets old. The graphics were groundbreaking for their time. Sure, they might look a bit dated now, but the game's artistic style holds up. The use of comic book panels to tell the story is genius and adds a unique flair that makes the narrative even more engaging. Each panel is detailed and beautifully drawn, pulling you deeper into Max's world. The atmosphere in Max Payne is top-notch. The dark, brooding soundtrack sets the perfect mood, making you feel every bit of Max's pain and determination. What really makes Max Payne a masterpiece, though, is its storytelling. It's not just about the revenge plot, it's about Max's descent into his own personal hell and his struggle to climb out of it. The game tackles themes of loss, despair, and redemption in a way that few games dared to at the time. The level design is another highlight. Each location, from grimy apartments to shadowy warehouses, is meticulously crafted, adding to the overall immersive experience. The game constantly keeps you on your toes with new challenges and enemies, making it a thrilling ride from start to finish. If you've never played Max Payne, or it's been a while, it's time to revisit this forgotten gem. It's a game that defined a genre and still stands as one of the best examples of storytelling and action in video games. Max's journey is one you won't forget, and the gameplay is just as thrilling now as it was back then. Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. Alright, let's talk about Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time, a game that's a real classic and an absolute joy to play. This game is like stepping into a fantastic adventure movie. You play as the prince, a young warrior who gets his hands on a magical dagger that can control time. The story starts when the prince accidentally unleashes the Sands of Time, turning everyone in the kingdom into monsters. Now, it's up to him to fix everything and save the day. What makes this game so special is the way you move around. The prince can run up walls, jump across gaps, and swing on poles with amazing agility. The controls are smooth, and it feels really cool to pull off all these acrobatic moves. The game is full of tricky platforming sections where you need to use all your skills to get through. The combat is also a lot of fun. You fight with a sword and use the magical dagger to freeze and rewind time. This means if you make a mistake, you can rewind and try again, which is super handy. The enemies get tougher as you go, so you need to get better at using your moves and the dagger's powers. The puzzles in the game are really well done. They make you think, but they're not too hard. You'll need to figure out how to use the environment and your abilities to solve them. It's very satisfying when you finally figure out how to get past a tough spot. The story is exciting and keeps you hooked. The prince is a great character and his journey is full of twists and turns. The voice acting is really good, especially for the prince and the other main characters, which makes the story even more engaging. Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time is a game that's easy to love. It's got action, puzzles, a great story, and amazing acrobatics. If you've never played it, you're in for a treat. It's one of those games that stays with you long after you've finished it, and it's definitely worth revisiting.
That was so surreal.
Life is Strange. Life is Strange is like diving into a gripping indie film where your choices really matter. You play as Max Caulfield, a high school student who discovers she can rewind time. Sounds pretty wild, right? But what's cool is that the game doesn't just use this power for flashy effects, it dives into some deep emotional storytelling. You start in this small, picturesque town called Arcadia Bay, which at first seems charming but soon reveals it's got its share of mysteries. As Max, you're not just dealing with typical teen drama, you're also uncovering some pretty dark secrets about the town and its people. What makes Life is Strange stand out is its storytelling. The writing feels genuine, capturing the ups and downs of teenage life in a way that hits home.
Then the butterfly flew in, and I took a photo.
Max's time rewinding power isn't just a fun trick, it's a central part of how the story unfolds. You'll find yourself constantly thinking about how your choices impact the world and the characters around you.
No way!
Don't ever touch me again, freak!
Even small decisions can lead to surprising outcomes, which keeps you on your toes. The characters are another win for the game. They're relatable and well written with their own quirks and backstories. Max's best friend Chloe is a standout, and their dynamic feels real. It's like you're watching the drama unfold between friends who feel like they could be people you know. Visually, the game has this cool, artsy vibe that fits its story perfectly. It's not the most realistic graphics, but it has a unique style that adds to the dreamlike quality of the game. The soundtrack is also great, filled with indie tracks that really set the mood and enhance the emotional beats of the game. If you're into games that focus heavily on story and character development, Life is Strange is definitely worth your time. It's more than just a game about time travel, it's about the impact of your choices and the people you meet along the way. It's a beautiful, emotional experience that stays with you long after you've finished playing. Stray. Stray definitely deserves a recommendation. It's so much fun to explore the world from the viewpoint of a cat, and the developers took this concept and designed it to near perfection. Starting at the animations of your feline character, how you can interact with other cats, the inhabitants of this world and the world in general, and how everything is structured. You can feel that a lot of love and work was put into every little detail of the game to allow you to truly experience how it feels to explore the world as a cat. If you are on the lookout for a different kind of adventure, you should definitely give Stray a go. Stray is essentially a short adventure game in which the player needs to figure out things via puzzles and dialogue. Whilst this is fun and entertaining, I felt like the game was a bit too short for my liking. It took me around 6 hours to complete my first playthrough, and I spent a fair amount of time discovering hidden areas and exploring the beautifully crafted levels. I personally enjoyed the fact that I couldn't understand what the robots were saying without the help from B12, so sometimes I felt kind of alienated because I didn't understand the language but was guided by instincts and simple motions, which makes sense because I was controlling a cat, right? All zones are beautiful and low-key stunning in their own way. From the dangerous sewers to the wonderful small and bigger urban eras in which the dystopian cyberpunk style shines a lot. The story itself is quite simple, but the combination of the story, gameplay, and atmosphere was intriguing enough to keep me going. Also, the fact that this game feels pretty unique was something that kept me interested as well. One of the coolest things about Stray is that you can do things a cat would do as well: push objects to the ground, jump to places you shouldn't usually jump to, make robots fall because you walk between their legs and meow whenever you like. Final Fantasy VII Remake. Final Fantasy VII Remake is nothing short of a masterpiece, a triumph in the gaming world that breathes new life into a beloved classic. As a lifelong Final Fantasy fan, the anticipation for this project was intense, and let me tell you, it has been worth every moment of waiting. The remake has touched on something close to perfection, delivering an experience that not only meets but often exceeds expectations. First off, the game does an incredible job of extending and deepening the original story. The gaps and plot holes from the old game have been filled with a wealth of new content and narrative depth. Some may gripe about changes from the original, but this remake is meant to attract both new players and longtime fans. It reconstructs and expands upon the original, making it relevant and exciting for a modern audience, while also honoring the classic elements that fans adore.
You're coming with us!
The graphics are nothing short of breathtaking. The level of detail in every aspect of the game is impressive, with characters looking polished and true to their original designs. The visual fidelity enhances the experience, making the world of Final Fantasy VII feel more alive and immersive than ever before. The battle system is a standout feature, offering a blend of strategy and real-time action that is both engaging and fun. You have complete control over your moves, with the ability to pause and strategize or switch characters seamlessly in the heat of battle.
Gonna throw your sword at him? Let the man with the gun go to work. These tin cans!
This flexibility allows for a range of tactical approaches, making each encounter unique and dynamic. The materia system complements this by integrating smoothly with your arsenal, adding layers of customization and depth. The story itself is epic, revisiting the old events with a fresh perspective while introducing new elements that enrich the narrative. This remake not only honors the legacy of the original, but also sets new standards for the JRPG genre. It is a game that offers more than just entertainment, it provides an experience filled with lessons, values, and emotions. In summary, Final Fantasy VII Remake is a phenomenal achievement that will leave a lasting mark on the gaming industry. It revives a classic with remarkable skill and passion, creating a game that is both a nostalgic tribute and a groundbreaking modern experience. If you've been on the fence about picking it up, I can't recommend it enough. It's not just a game, it's an adventure that you'll remember for years to come.
Let's do this.
God of War Ragnarok. Alright, let's talk about God of War Ragnarok. If you've played the previous game, you know Kratos and Atreus are a dynamic duo, and this sequel just cranks everything up to 11. First off, the visuals. Man, the game is a stunner. Each realm feels like a living, breathing world with epic landscapes and intricate details. Whether you're battling frost giants in a snow-covered landscape or exploring the lush forests of Valheim, it's like stepping into a Norse myth come to life. And those cutscenes? Cinematic gold. They'll make you want to grab some popcorn and settle in for a blockbuster experience. The story picks up right where we left off, and it's a doozy. The father-son dynamic between Kratos and Atreus is at the forefront, and it's fascinating to see how their relationship evolves amidst the chaos of Ragnarok. There are some real emotional moments here, along with the usual epic boss battles and dramatic confrontations. The mythological lore is deep and rich, and the game does a fantastic job of weaving it all together with the personal stakes of our heroes. Gameplay-wise, it's more of the same, but in the best way possible. The combat is still brutally satisfying, with Kratos swinging his Leviathan axe and Blades of Chaos with an impressive level of fluidity, but there are new abilities and upgrades to play with, so it doesn't feel stale. The new enemies and bosses are a blast to fight, each bringing their own unique challenges. And the puzzles, they're clever and engaging, giving your brain a workout between the heart-pounding combat sequences. One of the cool new features is the exploration. The realms are bigger and more interconnected, making it feel like there's always something new to discover. There are hidden treasures, side quests, and lore pieces scattered everywhere, encouraging you to dig a little deeper and enjoy the journey. Overall, God of War Ragnarok is a triumphant follow-up that delivers on every front. It's got the epic battles, the heart, and the jaw-dropping visuals you'd expect from a top-tier AAA title. If you're a fan of the series or just love a good action-adventure game, this one's a no-brainer. Just be ready for a wild ride that'll stick with you long after the credits roll. Uncharted 4. So, let's talk about Uncharted 4, which if you haven't played it yet, you're in for a treat. This game wraps up Nathan Drake's story with all the bombast and flair you'd expect from the series, but with a maturity that hits harder than a punch from Sully. From the moment you dive into this adventure, you're greeted with stunning visuals that make you question whether you're playing a game or watching a blockbuster movie. Seriously, the level of detail in every environment is insane. It's like they hired an army of artists to make each scene look like a painting.
But not nearly enough.
You were told not to open that.
Yes.
The story is a roller coaster. Nathan Drake is trying to live a normal life, which, spoiler alert, doesn't last long. The game introduces Nathan's long-lost brother Sam, and the dynamic between the two adds a whole new layer to the narrative. It's not just about the treasures and ancient mysteries anymore, it's about family, legacy, and the personal stakes that make the stakes feel higher. The gameplay is as smooth as butter. You get the trademark climbing and treasure hunting, but there's also this awesome new grappling hook that adds a fresh twist to the platforming.
How do we get to him?
Damned if I know. Just keep following that convoy.
And don't get me started on the set pieces, those jaw-dropping moments where you're hanging off a cliff or dodging explosions while driving a jeep through a war zone. They make your heart race like you're actually there. The voice acting and character development are top-notch too. Nathan Drake's journey feels like a fitting end to his story. It's got humor, it's got drama, and it's got those quiet moments that make you go, wow, this is more than just a game. If you're looking for a game that nails the perfect balance of action, story, and breathtaking visuals, Uncharted 4 is a must-play. It's the kind of game that sticks with you long after the credits roll, making you wish you could go on one more adventure with Nate and friends. It Takes Two. Alright, let's dive into It Takes Two, a game that's not just a wild ride but a downright emotional roller coaster. Developed by Hazelight Studios, this one's a bit of a love letter to co-op gaming, and trust me, it's worth every minute of your time. So here's the deal: you and a buddy are going to control Cody and May, a married couple who've turned into dolls. Yeah, it sounds like something straight out of a fever dream, but hear me out. The game throws you into this whimsical world where you're navigating everything from giant sentient plants to a magical book that loves to chat your ear off. The beauty of It Takes Two is its creativity and heart. Each level has its own unique theme and gameplay mechanics, so you're never doing the same thing twice. One moment you're solving puzzles with physics-defying abilities, and the next you're in a chaotic battle against a swarm of evil wasps. It keeps things fresh and exciting throughout. And let's talk about the co-op aspect. This game is built for 2 players, and it's best enjoyed with someone you can laugh, argue, and strategize with. It's not just about working together to solve puzzles, it's about the interactions and the chemistry between the characters. The story itself delves into the ups and downs of a relationship in a really thoughtful way. It's not just a game about saving your marriage, though that's a big part of it, but also about rediscovering what made you fall in love in the first place. It's surprisingly touching and gives you a lot to think about as you work through the challenges. In a nutshell, It Takes Two is one of those games that makes you remember why co-op gaming can be so incredible. It's a wild, imaginative ride that's filled with heart, humor, and a whole lot of creativity. Grab a friend, dive in, and get ready for an unforgettable adventure. Yakuza 0. Yakuza 0, the prequel to the long-running Yakuza series, is a wild ride through the neon-soaked streets of 1980s Japan. Developed by RGG Studio, this game is like a love letter to the 80s wrapped up in a package full of melodrama, over-the-top action, and some seriously quirky side missions. First off, let's talk about the setting. The game takes place in 2 fictional districts: Kamurocho, a bustling metropolis based on Tokyo's Kabukicho, and Sotenbori, which is a colorful nod to Osaka's Dotonbori. The level of detail in these areas is incredible. You'll feel like you're actually walking through these vibrant, bustling streets, complete with their neon lights, noisy arcades, and the occasional shady back alley. Now on to the story. Yakuza 0 follows the early careers of 2 major characters in the series, Kazuma Kiryu and Goro Majima. Kiryu is an up-and-coming Yakuza member who finds himself entangled in a murder mystery that threatens to unravel his life. Meanwhile, Majima, who is known for his flamboyant and unpredictable behavior, is trying to reclaim his place in the Yakuza world while dealing with his own set of problems. The narrative is filled with drama, intrigue, and a fair bit of humor, making for a compelling and engaging experience. Gameplay-wise, Yakuza 0 is a fantastic blend of beat-em-up combat and RPG elements. The combat is smooth and satisfying, with a variety of styles to choose from, each with its own unique moves and abilities. You'll spend a lot of time beating up bad guys, but there's also a lot of variety in what you can do outside of combat. There are tons of side quests, mini-games, and activities to dive into everything from managing a real estate empire to playing Sega arcade games or singing your heart out at a karaoke bar. And let's not forget the characters. The game is packed with memorable personalities and stories. From the earnest Kiryu to the eccentric Majima, the supporting cast is just as engaging. Each character's storyline is woven into the larger narrative, making the world feel alive and interconnected. Overall, Yakuza 0 is a perfect blend of serious storytelling and absurd fun. It's a game that doesn't take itself too seriously, even as it delivers a deep and engaging narrative. If you're looking for a game that offers a rich world to explore, a gripping story, and a ton of offbeat side activities, Yakuza 0 is definitely one you shouldn't miss. Batman Arkham Asylum. Batman Arkham Asylum is a standout game that really nails what it means to embody the Dark Knight. Developed by Rocksteady Studios and released in 2009, it's one of those games that completely redefined superhero gaming and made us all wish we had a Batmobile parked in our garages. The premise is pretty straightforward. Joker's taken over Arkham Asylum and it's up to Batman to restore order, but it's the execution that makes this game truly special. The story is engaging and packed with all the right touches of Gotham's dark and gritty atmosphere. You're not just fighting bad guys, you're diving deep into a well-crafted narrative with plenty of twists and turns. The voice acting, led by Mark Hamill as the Joker and Kevin Conroy as Batman, is top-notch and adds so much personality to the characters. Gameplay-wise, Arkham Asylum excels in giving you that feeling of being Batman. The combat system is fluid and satisfying, blending punches, counters, and gadgets into a seamless experience. It's a rhythm you quickly get into where you're dodging and countering attacks while dishing out some seriously stylish moves. The game's free-flow combat system is still one of the best in action games, making each fight feel like a choreographed dance. Stealth is another highlight. The game allows you to take out enemies silently, which feels incredibly satisfying. You can use the environment to your advantage, swooping down from above or using gadgets to disorient your foes. It's not just about brute force, it's about strategy and making the most out of Batman's arsenal. The game's world is surprisingly dense for a location confined to an asylum. The environments are rich with detail and there's a lot of hidden content to discover. The Riddler's challenges, while sometimes a bit of a head-scratcher, add an extra layer of depth and replayability. Plus, finding collectibles and solving puzzles helps you feel more connected to the lore of the Batman universe. Graphically, even for its time, the game holds up well. The dark, atmospheric visuals are perfect for a Batman story, and the character models and animations are top-notch. You really get a sense of the grim, foreboding environment that makes Arkham Asylum feel like its own character. Overall, Batman Arkham Asylum is a game that every Batman fan should experience. It combines a gripping story with tight gameplay and a richly detailed world. It's the kind of game that makes you feel like you're really stepping into the shoes of the Dark Knight, and it's still one of the best superhero games out there. Metro Exodus. Metro Exodus is the third installment in the Metro series, and boy does it take the post-apocalyptic formula and run with it. Developed by 4A Games and released in 2019, this game is a big leap forward from its predecessors, offering a sprawling, open-world experience that's both thrilling and visually stunning. Set in a Russia ravaged by nuclear war, the game picks up where Metro Last Light left off. Instead of being confined to the claustrophobic tunnels of the Metro, you're thrust into a much broader, more open environment. The shift to a semi-open world gives you a sense of freedom and exploration that the previous games couldn't quite match. You're not just surviving in the dark anymore, you're out in the open, navigating through snow-covered landscapes, sun-scorched deserts, and lush, post-apocalyptic forests. The story follows Artyom as he and a group of survivors journey across the country in search of a new life. The narrative is immersive, blending personal stories with larger themes of survival and hope in a world that's far from forgiving. The voice acting and writing are top-notch, drawing you into the emotional highs and lows of the journey. What sets Metro Exodus apart is its attention to detail. The environments are richly detailed, from the snowy wastelands to the desolate ruins of cities. The weather effects are impressive and have a real impact on gameplay, affecting visibility and how you approach different situations. And let's not forget the dynamic day-night cycle, which adds another layer of strategy and immersion. The combat is gritty and intense, staying true to the series' roots. You'll find yourself scavenging for resources, crafting ammunition, and managing your equipment meticulously. The game doesn't hold your hand, so every fight feels meaningful, and you need to be smart about how you use your resources. Stealth is also a viable option, allowing you to sneak past enemies or take them down quietly. One of the standout features is the vehicle you get to drive, which is a real game changer. It's like having a mobile base that can transport you across various terrains, adding a new layer of gameplay that wasn't in the previous games. The game's soundtrack and sound design deserve a shout out as well. The atmospheric music and environmental sounds really draw you into the world, making it feel alive and immersive. Metro Exodus is a fantastic game that expands on the Metro series in meaningful ways. It offers a richly detailed world, engaging gameplay, and a compelling story. If you're a fan of post-apocalyptic settings or just love a good adventure, this one's definitely worth checking out.
I didn't see you get on.
Half-Life 2. Half-Life 2. If you're a gamer, this one's likely been on your radar for a long time. Released in 2004, it's still often cited as one of the best first-person shooters ever made. And honestly, it's not hard to see why. Let's start with Gordon Freeman, the protagonist. He's a bit of a blank slate, but that's part of the charm. You, as the player, get to step into his lab coat and take on a world that's been turned upside down. The story kicks off with a bang, throwing you into a dystopian future where Earth's been overrun by alien invaders and oppressive forces. You're not just fighting aliens, you're up against a bleak, authoritarian regime that's got its claws deep in humanity. What really makes Half-Life 2 stand out is its atmosphere. From the eerie, desolate streets of City 17 to the dense, overgrown swamps, every environment feels meticulously crafted. The game's pacing is spot on, with a mix of intense action sequences and quieter, more atmospheric moments. It's a roller coaster, but it's not just about the thrills, it's about immersing you in a world that feels both expansive and alive. And, oh man, the gravity gun. This quirky little piece of tech lets you pick up and throw objects in creative ways, and it's a total game changer. It's not just a gimmick, it's integrated into puzzles and combat in ways that keep things fresh and exciting. You'll find yourself experimenting with it, tossing around barrels and using them to solve puzzles or fend off enemies. It's a blast. The enemy design is also worth mentioning. The Combine soldiers and their various monstrous allies are memorable and at times genuinely unsettling. The AI is smart enough to make fights challenging without being frustrating, and the game's overall design ensures that even if you're in the middle of an intense firefight, there's always something new to see or experience. Oh, and the narrative. Without spoiling too much, let's just say that Half-Life 2 as story is as engaging as it is mysterious. The game leaves you with plenty of questions and theories to chew on, and the ending. It's a classic cliffhanger that has kept fans speculating for years. In summary, Half-Life 2 is one of those games that holds up incredibly well even after all these years. Its combination of immersive storytelling, innovative gameplay mechanics, and atmospheric world building make it a must-play for anyone who hasn't yet experienced it. If you're diving into it for the first time or revisiting it, you're in for a memorable ride. Max Payne 3. Oh, Max Payne 3. If you've been around the block with gaming, you might remember this one from 2012. The third entry in the Max Payne series takes a bit of a departure from its predecessors, but man, does it deliver in style. So Max Payne is back, but this time he's a bit older, a bit rougher around the edges, and definitely more brooding. He's left New York behind and finds himself in Sao Paulo, Brazil, taking on a private security job. This isn't exactly a vacation, though things get ugly fast. The city is rife with corruption, and Max is thrown into the middle of a high-stakes kidnapping case that goes south quickly. The story is classic Max Payne, dark, gritty, and packed with twists. It's like diving into a hard-boiled detective novel where the main character is as messed up as the cases he's involved in. The writing is sharp, and the dialogue has that gritty noir charm that makes you feel like you're walking through the pages of a pulpy crime novel. The gameplay? Well, Max Payne 3 cranks it up to 11. The bullet time mechanic, where you slow down time to dodge bullets and take out enemies in style, is back and better than ever. The gunplay is as satisfying as you remember. There's something immensely satisfying about the way bullets hit their targets and the way you can use slow-mo to orchestrate your own action sequences. And then there's the setting. Sao Paulo is alive in this game, even if it's not exactly the most picturesque version. The gritty, neon-soaked streets, the crumbling buildings, and the bustling crowds create a backdrop that feels as much a character in the story as Max himself. The environments are detailed and you really get a sense of the city's atmosphere, both its vibrancy and its underlying menace. The visuals are top-notch with Rockstar's trademark attention to detail. The game is a looker with dynamic lighting and fluid animations that make every firefight feel intense and visceral. The sound design is equally impressive, with a soundtrack that pumps up the adrenaline and sound effects that make every shot feel impactful. But let's not forget the story's emotional weight. Max is a troubled soul, and his journey in this game explores themes of loss, redemption, and the cost of violence. It's not just about shooting bad guys, it's about a man grappling with his past and trying to find a semblance of peace amidst the chaos. In a nutshell, Max Payne 3 is a gritty, action-packed thrill ride with a story that sticks with you long after the credits roll. If you're into hard-hitting narratives and over-the-top action, this game is a must-play. Even years after its release, it stands out as a strong entry in the Max Payne series and a testament to Rockstar's ability to craft unforgettable experiences. The Last of Us Part 1. Alright, let me tell you about The Last of Us Part 1. This game, it's a ride. Seriously, it's not just a game, it's an experience. From the moment you jump into Joel and Ellie's world, you're in for an emotional roller coaster. So, you start with Joel, this tough-as-nails guy who's seen a lot of crap in this post-apocalyptic mess. He's kind of a grump with a soft spot for Ellie, a teenager who's had more than her fair share of heartbreak. Their relationship, it's one of the most real and raw things you'll see in games. You'll see Joel's tough exterior crack a bit as he bonds with Ellie, and Ellie's growth throughout the game is something special. The world they're surviving in is like a character in itself. It's beautifully bleak. You've got overgrown cities, eerie abandoned buildings, and just this general sense of what the heck happened here. I remember wandering through these environments and feeling like I was really there, exploring a world that was simultaneously breathtaking and terrifying. It's one of those games where you'll find yourself just standing still, soaking in the details because it feels so immersive. Now, the gameplay, it's intense. You can sneak around, use stealth to your advantage, or just go full-on action mode. Ammo is scarce, so it really makes you think about your approach. I loved the tension it added. Every encounter felt meaningful. It's not just about fighting, it's about managing resources, making tough choices, and dealing with the consequences of your actions. And the story. Man, the story, it's heart-wrenching. The writing and voice acting are top tier. You'll connect with Joel and Ellie in a way that's rare in games. There were moments where I was genuinely emotional, and that doesn't happen often. The game doesn't shy away from showing the darker sides of humanity, but it also gives you these glimmers of hope that make the journey worth it. Graphically, it's pretty stunning, especially for its time. The characters' expressions and the detailed environments just pull you in deeper. You really feel like you're living through Joel and Ellie's struggles. Outer Wilds. Outer Wilds is one of those games that's hard to describe without spoiling its magic, but trust me when I say this, the amount of value you get from exploring its universe is absolutely mind-blowing. On the surface, it's a game about space exploration, but it's so much more than that. It's about discovery, curiosity, and the joy of figuring things out on your own. If you're the type of player who loves unraveling mysteries and uncovering secrets at your own pace, Outer Wilds is a game that'll keep you busy for hours, probably even days or weeks, depending on how deep you dive. The premise is simple. You're an astronaut exploring a tiny solar system, but here's the twist after 22 minutes. The sun goes supernova and everything resets. You wake up at the start of the loop with all your knowledge intact, but everything else is back to square one. It's a brilliant mechanic that turns exploration into a puzzle. You're not just flying around aimlessly, you're piecing together information, trying to solve the mysteries of this ancient civilization and figure out what's causing the loop. What makes Outer Wilds so special is how it encourages pure exploration. There's no combat, no grinding for levels or upgrades, just you, your spaceship, and your curiosity. The solar system is packed with planets, moons, and space stations, each with its own unique environment and mysteries to uncover. One planet might have a black hole at its center, while another is being slowly buried in sand. Every celestial body has something to offer, and the game rewards you for poking around and asking what's over there. And let me tell you, the sense of discovery in Outer Wilds is unparalleled. There's no quest log or objective marker telling you where to go next. You have to follow your instincts, read the clues, and figure things out on your own. That's what gives the game such insane playtime value. You can spend hours just exploring one planet, only to realize that a small detail you missed leads to a whole new area or unlocks a bigger piece of the puzzle. Every time you think you've hit a dead end, the game surprises you with something new. One of the most interesting aspects of Outer Wilds is the time loop mechanic. You're constantly racing against the clock, but in a way that feels empowering rather than stressful. You can use each loop to explore a little more, gather more information, and then come back with a new plan. The 22-minute limit adds a sense of urgency, but also makes each discovery feel even more significant. Every loop feels like progress, even if you don't find exactly what you're looking for. It's all about building your knowledge and connecting the dots. The puzzles in Outer Wilds aren't traditional in the sense that you're pushing blocks or solving riddles. Instead, they're based on logic, observation, and understanding the rules of the universe. The more you explore, the more you learn how things work, and the more equipped you are to solve the overarching mystery. It's a slow burn, but the payoff is incredibly satisfying. Visually, the game's art style is simple but beautiful. The solar system feels alive, with planets rotating, crumbling, and evolving in real time as the loop progresses. You can land anywhere, explore caves, climb mountains, or just float in space watching the stars. The music is another highlight. It's soft and atmospheric, adding to the game's sense of wonder and solitude. It's the kind of soundtrack that sticks with you, even when you're not playing. With dozens of secrets, hidden locations, and complex puzzles spread across multiple planets, Outer Wilds is a game that rewards patience and curiosity like no other. The more time you put into it, the more you get out of it. Even after you finish the game, there's still so much to see and understand. Every playthrough feels different, and every loop adds a new layer to the mystery. For a game that might seem small at first, Outer Wilds offers a massive amount of playtime value. It's one of those rare games where the more you explore, the more you're rewarded, and each discovery feels like a genuine achievement. If you're looking for a game that lets you lose yourself in exploration and mystery, this is it. Kingdom Come Deliverance. Kingdom Come Deliverance isn't just your typical open-world RPG, it's a medieval experience that goes all in on realism and historical accuracy, offering a unique kind of playtime value that you won't find in many other games. Developed by Warhorse Studios, this game drops you into the heart of 15th century Bohemia, a time of political upheaval, warfare, and personal drama. What sets Kingdom Come apart from other RPGs is its commitment to authenticity. There's no magic, no dragons, just cold, hard reality, and it's that focus on realism that makes it such an insanely rich and rewarding game. You play as Henry, the son of a blacksmith who's thrown into a world of chaos when his village is attacked and his family is killed. It's a classic revenge tale, but what makes Henry's story so compelling is how human he is. He's not a chosen one or a master swordsman, he's just a guy trying to survive in a brutal world, and you feel every bit of his struggle as he learns how to fight, read, and navigate the complex social dynamics of medieval life. The game doesn't give you shortcuts, you have to earn every skill, and that grind makes the journey all the more satisfying. One of the best aspects of Kingdom Come is how it handles realism and gameplay. This isn't a game where you can charge into battle and hack away at enemies with ease. Combat is tactical, difficult, and based on real historical techniques. You'll need to master your timing, angles of attack, and defense if you want to survive.
That forced knowledge gun.
Swordplay in this game is an art form you can't just button mash your way to victory. It's a slow, methodical system that takes time to learn, but once you get the hang of it, it's incredibly rewarding. Every duel feels tense, and the sense of accomplishment after a tough fight is hard to beat. But it's not just the combat that's realistic, everything in Kingdom Come is rooted in history. The world building is top-notch, with painstaking attention to detail in everything from the architecture and clothing to the social structure and political landscape of 15th century Bohemia. The game takes its historical setting seriously, and that level of detail is what gives it such rich playtime value. You're not just playing a game, you're living in a medieval world. Every village feels real, every castle has a story, and every character you meet has their own role in the larger world. Speaking of characters, the dialogue and quest system in Kingdom Come is another standout. Your choices in conversation matter, and the game takes into account things like your reputation, appearance, and speech skills when determining how people respond to you. If you're dirty and disheveled, don't expect nobles to take you seriously. If you've built a reputation as a liar, people won't trust you. It's a refreshing system that adds depth to every interaction and makes you think carefully about how you present yourself. The quests in Kingdom Come are far from the typical fetch and kill variety. They're intricate, often with multiple solutions depending on your approach. Some quests are morally gray, forcing you to make tough decisions that have real consequences in the world. For example, you might be tasked with helping a village deal with a bandit problem, but how you handle the situation, whether through diplomacy, brute force, or even sabotage, can change the outcome of the quest and your standing with the local community. And let's talk about the survival mechanics. In Kingdom Come, you have to eat, sleep, and take care of your gear. If you don't eat, you'll starve. If you don't sleep, your performance in combat will suffer. Weapons and armor degrade over time, so you'll need to repair and maintain your equipment regularly. It adds a layer of immersion that makes every aspect of the game feel connected. You're not just role-playing a character, you're living as Henry, experiencing the hardships and challenges of medieval life firsthand. The world map itself is massive and beautifully designed. Bohemia is filled with forests, villages, and castles, all meticulously crafted to reflect the period's historical accuracy. Every location feels lived in, from bustling towns to quiet rural areas. And because the game doesn't overwhelm you with fast travel or magic portals, you'll find yourself exploring the landscape naturally, uncovering hidden secrets and side quests as you go. It's the kind of open world that rewards patience and curiosity, making it perfect for players who love getting lost in a detailed, immersive environment. One of the game's hidden strengths is its historical education. You're constantly learning about the time period through your interactions, from how the social hierarchy worked to the importance of religion and warfare in medieval life. The game isn't afraid to dive deep into the politics and culture of the time, and it does so in a way that's engaging and informative without ever feeling like a history lesson. You learn by living in this world, and that's what makes it so unique. Of course, the game isn't without its challenges. The difficulty curve can be steep, especially at the beginning. Henry starts out as a complete novice in combat, and the game doesn't hold your hand. You'll die probably a lot. But that's part of the game's charm. It forces you to think, to improve, and to adapt, just like Henry himself. And as you progress, you feel a real sense of growth and accomplishment.
The reward you've earned.
I'm Nara.
Chorus. If you're craving fast-paced base combat mixed with a surprisingly deep narrative, Chorus is one of those AA gems that delivers way more than you'd expect. At first glance, it might seem like a straightforward space shooter, but once you dive in, you quickly realize there's so much more beneath the surface. Whether you're a fan of dogfights, epic space battles, or narrative-driven games, Chorus offers an insane amount of value for its playtime with a blend of action-packed gameplay and a story that keeps you hooked. You play as Nara, an ace pilot haunted by her past. She's on the run from a cult known as the Circle, an organization she was once part of before turning against them. What really sets Chorus apart is Nara's complex character. She's not just a soldier, she's dealing with the psychological weight of her past actions, and that internal conflict plays out throughout the story. It's rare to see this level of character development in a space combat game, and it gives Chorus a narrative depth that pulls you in from the start. But the real star of Chorus is Forsaken, your sentient starfighter. The bond between Nara and Forsaken is at the heart of the game, and their relationship grows as the story unfolds.
Nice shooting.
Forsaken isn't just a tool of destruction, he's a character with his own personality, and the dynamic between him and Nara adds an emotional layer to the gameplay that's honestly refreshing for the genre. It's not just about blowing up enemy ships, though there's plenty of that. It's about two outcasts finding redemption in a galaxy that's trying to tear them apart. And speaking of blowing up enemy ships, the space combat in Chorus is top-notch.
An incredible sight. They built her big.
The controls are smooth and intuitive, making it easy to pull off high-speed maneuvers and dodge incoming fire while lining up the perfect shot. Combat feels fast, fluid, and tactical with a satisfying mix of dogfights, large-scale battles, and more intimate skirmishes. One of the most unique aspects is Nara's ability to pull off special moves like drifting, which allows you to turn on a dime and quickly reposition yourself in battle. It adds a level of strategy that makes every fight feel dynamic and engaging. The abilities and powers you gain throughout the game add another layer of complexity. As Nara, you have access to unique powers known as rights, which let you manipulate the battlefield in creative ways. You can use them to teleport behind enemies, unleash devastating energy blasts, or even control enemy ships. These abilities make you feel like a true force of destruction, and they add a ton of replayability to the game. How you use these powers can dramatically change your approach to combat, making each battle feel fresh even after hours of gameplay. The world design in Chorus is another standout feature. The game is set in an open-world galaxy with multiple systems to explore. Each location feels distinct, from the industrial wastelands to the haunting beauty of ancient ruins floating in space. The visuals are stunning, with gorgeous nebulae, asteroid fields, and space stations that make you want to stop and take it all in even while you're in the middle of a fight. The open world structure gives you the freedom to take on side missions, explore hidden areas, and engage in optional battles, which adds a ton of content outside the main storyline. One of the reasons Chorus offers so much playtime value is the variety in its missions. While the core gameplay revolves around space combat, the missions themselves are diverse and engaging. You'll be tasked with everything from massive fleet battles to hunting down lone targets to stealth missions where you have to avoid detection. The game keeps things fresh by constantly mixing up the objectives so it never feels repetitive. And because the galaxy is open for you to explore, you can take on missions in any order you like, adding to the feeling of freedom and replayability. The story is another strong point. It's more than just a backdrop for the action. There's a genuine sense of urgency and emotion in Nara's quest for redemption. The narrative explores themes of guilt, atonement, and the struggle to break free from one's past, which gives the game a lot more depth than you'd typically expect from a space combat title. The voice acting and writing are solid, and the cutscenes are cinematic, drawing you into the story without pulling you away from the action for too long. One of the most satisfying aspects of Chorus is the progression system. As you complete missions and take down enemies, you'll earn upgrades for Forsaken, making your ship faster, stronger, and more versatile in combat. Whether you're upgrading weapons, shields, or your right abilities, there's always a sense of progression that keeps you coming back for more. And because the combat is so fast-paced and fun, leveling up feels like a natural part of the game rather than a grind. For a game that flies under the radar compared to bigger space combat titles, Chorus delivers an insane amount of content and quality. The mix of intense dogfights, a compelling story, and a world that feels alive with possibilities makes it one of the best AA games out there in terms of playtime value. Whether you're in it for the combat or the narrative or both, Chorus offers an experience that's well worth sinking your time into.
Rest in peace.
Plague Tale Requiem. A Plague Tale Requiem is a game that demands your attention if you're a fan of immersive, narrative-driven experiences. This sequel picks up the harrowing tale of the D-Rune siblings, Amisha and Hugo, as they face a world still ravaged by the Black Death and dark otherworldly forces. The game continues directly from where its predecessor left off, and it doesn't waste any time diving back into the intense, emotional journey of its characters. The story is deeply engaging, with Amisha and Hugo's bond at the heart of the narrative. You're not just following a plot, you're experiencing a gripping tale of survival, sacrifice, and family. The writing is top-notch, seamlessly blending historical and supernatural elements to create a world that feels both hauntingly real and disturbingly fantastic. The character development is profound, making you genuinely care about the characters' fates. The growth of Amisha and Hugo's relationship is portrayed with such depth that it enhances the emotional impact of their journey. Visually, A Plague Tale Requiem is nothing short of breathtaking. The game's depiction of a plague-ridden medieval world is both beautiful and unsettling. The environments are richly detailed, with a stark contrast between the grim, disease-stricken towns and the lush, ominous landscapes. The use of lighting and shadows is particularly effective, creating a sense of foreboding that adds to the game's tension. Every area you explore feels alive with history and decay, and the attention to detail in the environments is truly impressive. Gameplay-wise, Requiem builds on the solid foundation of its predecessor with refined mechanics and new features that enhance the experience. The game's blend of stealth, puzzle solving, and action is executed exceptionally well. You'll find yourself strategizing how to avoid enemies or use the environment to your advantage, which keeps the gameplay engaging and fresh. The dynamic between Amisha and Hugo adds an extra layer of complexity, as you must balance the need to protect and guide Hugo while dealing with the dangers that surround you. The improvements to stealth and combat mechanics make these elements more satisfying and impactful. However, there are a few aspects worth noting. While the game's pacing is generally strong, there are moments where the narrative can feel a bit drawn out, particularly in some of the quieter segments. These moments can slow down the otherwise intense and gripping experience. That said, these instances are relatively minor in the grand scheme of the game's overall quality. In summary, A Plague Tale Requiem is a standout title that excels in nearly every area. Its powerful storytelling, stunning visuals, and refined gameplay make it a must-play for anyone who enjoys rich, narrative-driven games. The game's emotional depth and immersive world create an experience that is both memorable and impactful, solidifying its place on the list of perfect 10 games.
Something attacked Leon in the forest.